Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AAFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. The program is Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on Conservative Talk Radio. The network is the American Family Radio Talk Network. We've been following this race in New Jersey with Cory Booker and Steve Lonegan. Steve Lonegan running an unapologetically conservative campaign. He's not backing away on issues of sanctity of life, sanctity of marriage, smaller government, lower taxes, less regulation. He's sounding a solid conservative message. Sarah Palin campaigned for him on Saturday. Cory Booker, he's doing a press conference today, Steve Lonegan is, in front of the home that Cory Booker says he lived in Newark. And the neighbors have never seen him there. So the evidence is mounting that even though he is the mayor of Newark, he's never lived there. He's never actually lived in the city of Newark. And that race is tightening. I'm looking at a story here from Politico. Let's see. A new poll indicates that this is Monmouth University out today, indicates that Booker leads Lonegan by 10 points, 52-42. The election is on Wednesday. A separate poll last week had Booker up by 12. 2 weeks ago, Monmouth had him up by 13. Over the summer by 16. In August, polls had Booker's lead topping out at 24%. So that lead now has shrunk from 24% to single digits. So Lonegan is closing fast, still behind in the polls, but the election is on Wednesday. You know, and I tell you every day we're fighting a winnable war. And what we're seeing yesterday with the rally of these World War II vets, that's evidence. That's a winnable war. The American people are rising up and they are taking action. They're making their voice heard. And another indication that we are winning the battle for the hearts and minds of the American people, looking at a story here from Breitbart featuring a Cornell political scientist by the name of Peter Enns. And Enns has done some research, and here's what he has concluded. Here's how the Breitbart piece begins. Peter Enns has concluded that conservatives are beginning to break through all across the country, based on, quote, measures of policy mood for each state, all 50 states from the 1950s to 2010, basically the last 60 years. Enns and his colleague Juliana Koch, or Koch, found that there has been a conservative opinion shift in every single state across the country. Most of the increases were, quote, statistically significant. The same held true for regions. I repeat, this is according to a political scientist at Cornell. This guy's not part of the vast right-wing conspiracy, so this isn't going to be some kind of wish fulfillment where he's trying to rig the numbers to get the result he wants. He's got to be completely distressed over this, but he has determined that based on measures of policy mood for every state in the union, there has been, I repeat, a conservative opinion shift in every single state across the country, statistically significant. That is outside the margin of error, outside something you could simply dismiss as kind of a blip. Between 1964 and 2010, the article goes on, America shifted heavily when asked whether every person should be provided a job by the government or whether government should allow everyone to get ahead individually. So back on the government out of employment, that's what the American people now want. 64, they wanted the government to guarantee everybody a job. Now they're saying, no, we as an American people, we ought to believe in self-reliance, get government out of the way, let people find a way to take care of themselves. Asked whether Washington was becoming too powerful, the country has again shifted dramatically. So in other words, back in 1964, you asked the people, is the government too powerful? They said, nah, it's not too big, it's not too powerful. 2010, completely different answer. So in other words, let's be encouraged. The American people are moving our direction decisively, statistically, significantly since the 1960s. Ted Cruz, Chuck Todd this morning on Morning Joe, he said, look, what planet are Sarah Palin? I played you the Sarah Palin, Ted Cruz sound bites from yesterday. What planet are they living on? Like there's something bizarre about standing with America's veterans at a war memorial. There's something bizarre about that. What planet are they living on? Well, the answer is they're living on Planet Reagan. That's where Ted Cruz is living. He is recolonizing Planet Reagan. And I would suggest that we ought to think about becoming colonists as he recolonizes Planet Reagan, that Ted Cruz may be the leader of that recolonized planet. And Peter King, who's a Rhino Republican, he's now going after Ted Cruz. He's saying, look, we have to start going after Ted Cruz by name. So not only are the Democrats now singling out Ted Cruz as the man they want to demonize, just like they're picking on AFA to demonize, now they're picking on Ted Cruz to demonize. How do you know the people that are getting the job done? You look at who it is that the left tries to take out. Who do they try to kneecap? Who do they try to destroy? Those are the groups, those are the individuals, those are the organizations that are having an impact, and now they're going after Ted Cruz. I want to play this sound by clip 2, Rob. This is Ted Cruz speaking at the Values Voters Summit on Saturday, and listen to the reaction that he gets. Let's listen.
Now, I will note this afternoon, look, the Democrats are feeling the heat. So this afternoon, President Obama has invited the Senate Republicans to the White House. So after leaving here, I'm going to be going to the White House.
Pregnant pause. He's loving that. Listen to the reaction.
I will make a request. If I'm never seen again, please send a search and rescue team. I very much hope tomorrow morning I don't wake up amidst the Syrian rebels.
Now, Ted Cruz won the presidential straw poll at the Values Voter Summit with 42% of the vote. Second place went to Santorum. Rick Santorum, Ben Carson tied at 13%. Rand Paul at 6%. Marco Rubio at 5%. Ted Cruz is now the leader of Planet Reagan. Here's clip number 3. Cruz had a bunch of hecklers. Here's how Cruz handled them yesterday.
Thank you, sir, for being here. I appreciate Look, it is a great thing that people can express their First Amendment rights. And I only wish the Obama administration respected First Amendment rights that much. And yet what we saw across this country. Ma'am, thank you for being here. I wish you would participate in the democratic process through speaking respectfully. It seems that President Obama's paid political operatives are out in force today. And you know why? And you know why? Because the men and women in this room scare the living daylights out of them.
So that's Ted Cruz saying, look, these hecklers, and they were all out heckling Ted. They're illegal immigrant activists, illegal alien activists. They're out there to promote amnesty. They're the ones that heckled Ted Cruz's speech, which is an encouraging sign if you think that we ought to honor the rule of law and protect our sovereign borders. They're obviously targeting Cruz because they don't think he's down with the whole amnesty program. He handled them masterfully, and he made a good point. You know why President Obama is sending his paid political operatives into this room at this time? Because you, ladies and gentlemen, speaking to the people in that room, you scare the living daylights out of the left, and he's exactly right. Focal Point AFR Talk.